Let's go live to the opposition leader, Sussan Ley.
In Australia and made in Australia. Australians deserve affordable energy and responsible emissions reduction. And the Coalition knows that you can have both, but we will prioritise affordable energy. And look at what has happened to energy prices under Prime Minister Albanese, who went to 2 elections promising you that your electricity and energy costs would come down. Instead, they've gone up. They've gone up by 40%. And that means, unfortunately, that we are making less and less in Australia. We also do believe in responsible emissions reduction. But when we consider that since 2005, Australia has moved ahead with emissions reducing at almost twice the rate of the developed world, and in order to get to Labor's 2050 target, they will have to double again. Then that doesn't make sense. So our commitment is to reduce emissions on average, year on year, in line with comparable countries and as fast and as far as technology will allow. But, Gareth, I'm always filled with admiration when I visit a business like yours, because I know that you instinctively understand our affordable energy plan. And you know that what is in this plan is all about your sector, the businesses you work with every day in the power industry, the deep understanding that you and all of your team have about the real need to continue to make things in Australia. And every time we see this Prime Minister stand up and talk about Made in Australia, we know that it is a lie, because manufacturing is in decline. And in this amazing part of Western Sydney, used to be a manufacturing powerhouse. We want to see that again. We want to see affordable energy at the centre of a policy that backs in small businesses, backs in families, backs in your tradies and apprentices, and recognises the most important thing, that if energy is unaffordable, then everything is unaffordable. Dan.
Thanks, Susan, and it's wonderful to be here with you and with Gareth. And Gareth, can I say thank you for your hospitality, and what a great success story Gareth is. Born in Wales, then moved to London with his parents, met a lovely Australian and has married here and has turned this business into a wonderful, wonderful success story. And he wants to continue to grow it and continue to make sure it is a wonderful success story. He's got a plan to hand on to a couple of his sons, and he wants to make sure that manufacturing continues to grow and continues to flourish in this country. And what he needs, and what all manufacturers need in this country, is affordable energy. And that's why, under our plan, it will be our #1 priority. We will do our responsible fair share when it comes to emissions reduction, but we want to make sure that affordable energy is the priority, because if you have a strong economy backed by affordable energy, you can play your role in making sure you continue to grow manufacturing, at the same time using technology to take a responsible path of us doing our fair share when it comes to emissions reduction. And we're seeing that here as well, because part of our plan is to put a focus on commercial industrial rooftop solar. And one of the things Gareth has done here is use commercial industrial rooftop solar on this factory right above us. And that is the responsible way for us to make sure that we keep growing our economy with affordable energy. But we've also got to make sure that we have that baseload power that we need, and make sure that the approach is technology neutral, one that's not delivered by ideology. Because as we've seen under Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Chris Bowen, their ideological approach, especially of 82% renewables by 2030, is placing unnecessary pressure on our grid and is making electricity prices in this country unaffordable. It's why they haven't been able to honour their commitment that they made to you on over 90 occasions, that your power bill would be $275 cheaper by the end of the year. Mr Albanese needs to answer that question. Has he now given up on that? Will he be upfront with the Australian people and say that's not going to occur? And are we going to see electricity prices continue to grow by 39 to 40% like they have so far under this government? So, Susan, wonderful to be here with you. And Gareth, thanks again. Thanks for your hospitality. And can I just say, on behalf of all Australians, thanks for what you're doing. You're contributing to our economy. You're providing jobs to everyone here. And it's wonderful to be here and visit this great success story.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Dan and I are happy to take your questions.
You're in a local manufacturing area. Why are businesses like this one and others in Western Sydney so important to the opposition?
Because we believe in manufacturing, we believe in affordable energy at the centre of our economy, and that includes manufacturing. And I've spent the last 3 years walking through many manufacturing factory floors, and I'm filled with pride for what Australians can do better than anyone else in the world when it comes to our ingenuity, our young people, their ideas, our small businesses, our family approach. And this is what builds communities, and the Liberal Party I lead will always back businesses like this, and Australians who work hard, who give back, who take risks, who have a crack and who employ the next generation.
On power prices, what evidence do you have that they'll go down under your policy?
Well, the critical thing here is that Labor's policy is putting power prices up by 40%, and you heard the numbers from Dan Tehan just now. When you inject supply into the system, the law of supply and demand tells us that price will start to come down. So our policy does put downward pressure on power prices, and it needs to, because mums and dads and families are hurting in the lead up to Christmas, and they're worried about how they're going to meet all those bills that come in at this time of year. Not just the bill to cool a house in a hot summer with the kids running around, but also Christmas presents, visits to the doctor, perhaps a holiday, and everything else that just piles up at the end of the year. We know we have to get supply into the system. That's why our affordable electricity scheme will do exactly that, by opening up that ability to provide baseload and dispatchable power that balances renewables. We want renewables in the right place, but that baseload power is absolutely essential. And we know we have to step on the gas, because this is a government that just hasn't understood the role of gas in terms of power generation and manufacturing in this country. We're standing now in Australia on some of the biggest gas reserves in the world, and we export LNG. We're one of the highest exporters of LNG to countries to assist them with their decarbonisation. But right now at Port Kembla, an import terminal is being built to import gas back into Australia at huge cost, gas that comes from the Middle East. And that doesn't make any sense. Australians know that with our abundant energy resources, we need to be able to provide that energy in an affordable way for Australians.
You're also talking about lowering emissions there. What evidence do you have that emissions will drop year to year under your policy, especially if there's more coal and gas that are coming online?
Let's look at the emissions record of the Albanese government. In fact, their entire energy trifecta of failures. Prices up, reliability down, and emissions flatlining. So it's cost $75 billion to date. And what do we have with respect to emissions? A poor record, worse than the coalition's. And if we look forward, it's another $530 million to do the next phase of what they simply can't cost with any credibility with respect to emissions reduction. Now, our plan is to reduce emissions year on year, in line with comparable countries, and as far and as fast as technology will allow. We will have a voluntary mechanism, the accountability and baseline credit scheme, that won't punish people if they emit carbon, but will encourage them to reduce their carbon footprint, and hence it will reduce emissions. We will also repurpose CFC and ARENA so that those two funds can actually be dedicated to technology that is breakthrough and that is coming online, and that will start to bring emissions down, particularly with respect to carbon capture and storage, blue hydrogen and other new and emerging technologies. And our approach is technology neutral.
Polling presented to the state New South Wales, the Liberals showed all but one risking losing their seat as people associate credible action on climate. So what do you know that your state counterparts don't?
Well, I'm not interested in polling, and I'm not interested in public commentary about polling. What I'm interested in is this plan that delivers affordable energy for households and puts priority on delivering that affordable energy. Because right now we have an energy policy train wreck from this government. And I know that the communities of which you speak broadly will also be feeling the pain that I've talked about, and they'll also be struggling with the cost of energy. And they also know that when energy is unaffordable, everything is unaffordable.
Here in New South Wales, the Liberal leader Mark Speakman is refusing to drop his support for net zero. How do you expect there to be trust in your position from voters when there isn't trust within your own party?
Well, I'll leave commentary about the New South Wales Liberal Party, opposition, etc., and indeed any other state government or opposition around the country. I'll confine it to those remarks that have been made by them, and I will simply say that not for 1 minute will I lose focus on the most important exercise mission right here, which is to talk to Australians, to understand the pain that they're feeling, and to explain our affordable energy policy that also responsibly brings down emissions.
So there is not even an ounce of concern that there are, at a state level, a different view on this and a different position. There is no consistency.
With respect, I've answered your question.
Can I ask about COP? It's been reported this morning that Turkey has proposed to join with Australia.
Look, COP is an important international meeting. Obviously, the Paris Agreement, to which we are still signatories, that's our policy, came out of a COP meeting. And I know that the Prime Minister has been talking a lot about this. But what I would say is that with the budget in the situation that it's in, and budget repair and managing the budget responsibly being such a key consideration of us, is it wise use of taxpayers' money to bring any COP to Australia? And I hope the Prime Minister is considering how hosting what I acknowledge from time to time are important international discussions, how that benefits households and families that are struggling.
I know we've just finished up on emissions. I just want to go back quickly. Are there any discussions with your state leaders and premiers about this plan and I guess the differing views that are there?
I'm talking to Australians every day about the plan, and I'll leave state political parties to their own considerations respectfully, as I always would and as I always have.
Last question, guys.
The Albanese government released their thoughts on bringing back more bulk billing to Australians. What is the opposition's thoughts on that when Australians aren't able to get bulk billing appointments?
Well, unfortunately, this bulk billing policy is falling apart already, because what we're seeing is families saying, I can't find a bulk billing doctor, I can't afford to go to the doctor. And what really worries me as a mum and as a grandmother, when I look at parents and talk to parents who say they're actually having to choose which child visits the doctor in a particular week, which child is the most sick, that's outrageous. That's not the Australia we want to live in. And we know too that because energy affordability is at the centre of this, our wonderful GPs and their practices are struggling with the cost of energy and the cost of living. And because energy costs underpin everything that comes into that doctor's surgery, that helps keep people well and treats patients who are sick, it's all affected by the cost of energy. So it's up to Mr Albanese to explain what he is going to do to support families who are struggling with the cost of living, and most particularly the energy cost that underpins so much of their unaffordability week to week with the budget.
All right, thanks, Gareth. Yeah, lovely to meet you.